Jeanette saw this on Wednesday. So for tonight's mission moment, I'm stealing from our student learning kind of highlight, and it's kind of twofold or in two steps. Sort of student learning or experiences kids are having, the school is experiencing recently from kind of two different angles. Both learning centered in my mind, but in different ways. So the first is just we had our ELA exams last week at the middle school on Thursday and Friday. Overall, facilitation was smooth, full team affair. We had about 95% of our kids test. Only a few kids opted out, so strong showing overall. Andrea, our co-principal of teaching and learning at the middle school, said following day one, if student scores were based on the strategies we observed them applying to today's exam questions, our students were in fours. So she's proud of like their efforts and what they were showing with regard to using some of the strategies that they've been taught over the past year in tackling different kinds of problems that are grade and level appropriate. So overall, we spent probably a month and a half explicitly preparing for the exam from a host of angles, from test prep to some fun and games to getting kids fired up, to celebrating kids showing growth over the course of practice exams, et cetera. So we're there. Math exams in 2 weeks or just over a week from now. We'll talk a bit about that momentarily, but that's the first highlight or mission moment. Second mission moment tonight relates to some work that our alumni did recently, and I shared this out with the ECPC folks on Tuesday night. But with our push to gain approval to expand downward, we have been seeking the support of our families. And so we leaned on a handful, about 5 of our alumni who graduated 2 years ago or 3 years ago, are now in college, or working full time, who were around. And we put together a phone bank. We put together a script. We practiced. We got together on Zoom and began making calls to our families, grades 6 through 12, over the course of about 2 evenings, 3 evenings, a couple of hours a night. Had some fun, ordered some food via Seamless virtually. But that team made calls and got to speak with our families and explain what we're trying to do and why it's important, and sought their support. In the end, we had 330 or so families pick up the phone, say hello, get excited, and add their name to the list. 99% of our families were like, yeah, this is a great idea. Sign me up. And then there were a couple of things that I think indirectly were fulfilling, in that our alumni were able to call parents. Parents would say, hey, who are you again? Do you work for the school? Did you graduate from the school? Wow, you went to the school and you're calling me tonight. That means a lot. That says a lot about the school and about your dedication to the school. And that just made our alumni feel really good about what they were doing. So, colleges do this, other high schools that have been in the game for a long time do this stuff, but this felt like a next step forward that we can use in ways that benefit school and also provide an experience for young alums as they give back to our school. So equally important in my mind in terms of learning experience. So those are the mission moments for this evening.
Terrific. All right, let's move ahead. Have a score report.
Yeah, so I've got 2 or 3 quick highlights there. We'll go through this rather briefly, but I will share so y'all can see the actual report. Just give me 1 second. And you got it in your inbox too, so you can open that up from your email. All right. So I think, as I say, it seems like in every monthly meeting, it's a busy time and there's a lot going on, a lot of exciting things. But I think what's specific to this period of time as we move into April and then May is there are just a lot of exams and assessments to gauge kind of what kids have learned over the course of the year, and what they're taking away and how good a job we've done in preparing them in the grade they're in. So just to kind of go down that list you can appreciate what kids are doing and what the school is facilitating, in addition to the daily in and out of a school day and week. We had mock exams at the high school in late March. Melissa's going to share out the results from those exams a bit later in this meeting. As I mentioned, we had middle school ELA state exams last week. We had mock advanced placement exams on Friday at the high school, Friday morning. It was a really nice, well-attended event. We have middle school week. And then in May, we've got a flurry of advanced placement exams happening. So just, again, a busy time. We're excited. We've worked hard to prepare our kids for showing off their best stuff. And look forward to seeing how things go, but a busy time nonetheless. So I think that's one. And feel free if you've got kind of a thought, consideration to shout it out. Otherwise, I'm going to continue. I want to talk a bit about graduation forecasts as we approach the tail end of April. I think I did this back in December as of last September. So this is the second time I've reported out this data this year. So we've got some updated forecasts as of this month. And I think in general, right now, the forecast for graduation and that rate of graduation in 4 years is similar to what it was last year. Our goal is 93% each year, graduating in 4 years, and that's by June or August. Our authorizer, SED, has a minimum target of 80%, so we have surpassed that significantly since we began experiencing graduation at our school. And so, right now we're in a very similar place to where we were last year at this time. As I've mentioned, we've got a team of people, myself, Melissa, Grace, our high school principal of culture and ops, our director of academic counseling, and our 12th grade academic counselor meeting weekly, just to get a sense of, for the kids who are on the cusp of graduation, how they're proceeding each and every week, what additional supports might we put in place, where there's challenge, what we do about it, et cetera. So it's very intensive. And it can be challenging in thinking about kind of individual kids' predicaments and kind of where they are in terms of their approach to ending high school successfully in 4 years, for some in 5 years. The data is here. And so about 72% of our kids are in grade form. I mean, they're essentially done. They've graduated. We've got about 7 students who we've got an eye on based on just how they're doing in their current classes over their senior year. If they're close to a passing grade, but perhaps not passing in a course, we're aware of that here. And that's that sort of 13% mark in pink at the top. We also have a group of kids who we're looking at an August graduation based on where they are now. That's just one child, but it just means they're a bit further behind and will probably need what we offer, which is a credit recovery in June and then summer academy in July and August. And then we got some kids, I think this year what's a little different is we had a small class, and we've had smaller classes, but we got a small class in which we've got some kids that just are having immense difficulties coming to school each and every day for various reasons. And so we've got 3 students right now who aren't coming to school and have essentially, after a series of meetings with families and kids, have said, I'm not going to be returning to school this year. And so they're not going to be graduating. And it's unfortunate, but it is where it is. So we continue to have doors open for those students and encourage them to come in. But right now, it seems as if they haven't been coming in this year, and it doesn't look to be changing. And then we've got 4 kids, and this is a little different. We've had kids who we've worked with for years and then said, man, what you're seeking right now based on your approach to school is something different than what we're offering. We don't offer expedited credits. We don't offer night school or anything like that, but we've got some kids that might benefit from that. And so we are having conversations with families and students about that option in just a very real way. They may take it, they may not. They may come back for a 5th year, but I think what's most important to us, just in terms of life outcomes, is that kids earn that diploma. And if they do, there are many more doors open to them. If they don't, there are limited doors in terms of employment and things available to them. And so we just want to give it our best shot. So that's where things stand right now. And so we've got, it's about continuing to monitor and intervene on a regular basis in support of these kids. And Yeah, I think we're in a good place, but I do worry a bit about the 7 students who need something different, and us making sure that they get that. So
So Josh, for the
yeah.
3 that are not attending school anymore, how does the math work? Are they still counted against the as attending effectively, even though they haven't showed up this year, or how? Where's the line where they're no longer your students?
When they transfer to another school officially,
But what if they drop out
then
completely?
they count toward our school.
They count to the last school they went to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So I guess anything else worth mentioning there? Any other questions about this data? I had a good discussion with Josh Phillips and Jeanette about this data on Thursday. And that was with Melissa and Grace. All right, I'll continue on. The next update from the school report's rather quick. It is just that there are events coming up. And so I want to put them out to you now verbally and then share them out in your inbox by the end of this week. We have a college signing day coming up on the 12th of May. Melissa, if I'm incorrect with any of these dates, shout it out, but I believe this is for the 12th of May. It was a tremendous event last year. We were back in the building, full gym, families, kids excited, kids reporting where they're going to school next year, kids shouting into the mic where they're going to school next year. It was really nice. So if you're able to make it on that morning, you will not be disappointed. I promise. It's an hour-and-a-half long event. In addition to that, we have middle school roundtable presentations going on in mid-June, the 14th, the 16th. We're doing it again. We had seniors present roundtables during conferences this past week. And these were kids. Many of the kids had done roundtables in middle school. So you get to see our young kids in grades 6 through 8 talking about all the things they've experienced and learned and reflected on this year. It's powerful, families by their side. Make it, please come by. And then finally, we've got graduation happening. That's in Manhattan. That'll be in the invite. That's on the 23rd of June. I believe the graduation for the middle school is the same day, and that'll be in Bed-Stuy. So 2 terrific locations, Midtown, downtown-ish Manhattan, and in Bed-Stuy on the 23rd. So the dogs upstairs are happy about this. You guys are happy about this. We move on. Any questions? All right. So those are the highlights. We're going to get to essentially everything else at other increments in time tonight. So don't you worry. Back to you, Jim.
Dashboard.
Back to me. All right. There are 5 areas of the school that I want to highlight within this beautiful dashboard tonight. Let me open that up so you can see that too. All right. And we'll make this a bit bigger for you. Okay. That's probably big enough. So there are 5 areas of the school I want to update you on tonight. I would say there are 1 positive kind of highlight, 3 challenges and 1 kind of neutral kind of data point I want to bring to everyone's attention. I think the challenges, the 3 are not unique to our school, and we've talked about them, but they're worthy of perhaps some discussion. And I'll share out some strategies that we're employing to tackle some of these challenges. And your job here is to check them. And if you've got further ideas, let us know, shout them out. So I want this to be interactive. With student enrollment, that's the first one. I think this is more neutral, so I won't go in order of positive to neutral and negative. I'll just start at the top. With regard to enrollment, fairly steady in terms of where we are. There has been a drop by 5 over the past month. This isn't like a trend. We're just not backfilling at this point in the year. It's late in the year, and there isn't as much of that going on with a month and a half, 2 months in school. So that's what you get. I don't see this again as being something where it'll say another -5 next month. But that's where things are. 3 students at the high school, 2 students at the middle school, and you can see what the utilization rates are across the board. As of now, 97% of our target enrollment. So that's where enrollment stands at this point in time. Other things worth highlighting tonight. Let's talk about maybe a couple of challenges. Attendance, second note. Right now, in looking at attendance, we're maybe a bit higher than we were last month at 87% versus our goal in a typical year of 92%. I think what's most concerning to me right now, this goes back to our graduating cohort, 12th grade, at 77% cumulative attendance per day, is especially concerning. We're struggling here. We've got an interdisciplinary team intact that meets weekly to talk about individual students and are doing good work. The challenges are just there this year with those 53-ish kids. And so give me 1 second. I'm going to check this basketball upstairs that is going on. Tryouts going on upstairs, apparently. So attendance values, yes, 12th grade, that's where the struggle is in comparison to the other grades. We've got a majority of our kids that are coming to school below 80% of the time. And so I think, you know, the things that we have in place right now seem to be insufficient in addressing some of the challenges we have. And so we just got to rethink things. I think there's some rethinking to do in the coming year. Right now, I think our focus is on those students who are on the cusp of graduation and ensuring that if attendance is an issue for them, that they're in school each and every day. That's what's most important right now in the focus. But I think there's some rethinking to do about how we do attendance interventions across different tiers of students at both sites. But with that 12th grade, it just makes it hard with those sorts of values. So I think that's one challenge. If folks have ideas, please shout them out. But right now, again, our attention is on the select few who are close to graduation, but need some help, and attendance issues are an issue. That's where we're focusing our time.
So pre-COVID, we were exceeding 92.
We were about 92. Yeah. Yep. And I think since COVID, it's been in the high 80s.
Wow.
Yep. So what's that mean? That means in a class of 100, you know, we're talking about 3 or 4 kids who are additionally absent on a given day in a given class.
Yeah, but you got 2/3 who aren't showing up in 12th grade last week.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. Or it's 1/3 not showing up.
Yeah.
That's an incredible number.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
gotta believe that part of it is just getting used to being remote and just going remote and not getting educated remotely, just being off campus.
I think there's some of that for kids who are struggling, and then there's like senioritis creeps in, so you have some of that going on too. But this is also a cumulative average. This is over the course of the year, so I think there's been some struggle with this cohort pretty consistently since day one.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So that's challenge 2. I've talked about our strategy there, and then I want to move into the next value. Another challenge, which is just with suspension. And so we are not going to make our goal this year. Our goal is to be under 10% of students being suspended from school. We're at about that mark right now. Most of these occurrences are due to fights happening after school, particularly at the high school. And on a couple of occasions, we've had a fight outside of school, perhaps with a group of kids from another school or amongst our own kids, where there might be 3 or 4 kids involved. And you know, fights are serious and we take them seriously, and they're typically suspensionable. And so I think that makes up a good number of the cases here. In terms of strategy, you know, we've begun offering peer mediation at both sites. I think that has helped. I think we can use both of those resources even more so at both sites. And so they're new and helpful, and we need to continue to use them. And then other things I think we need to do is think about some other strategies. We've got some informal mentoring going on both sides, but nothing formal. That might be a strategy we employ in the coming year. But we've got to find some ways to ensure that kids are getting along when no one's looking. And so we track this data and look at it. We take events after school seriously because it does impact what goes on in our community during the day. And so I would categorize this as another challenge that we're sort of working through. Again, not unique to our school, but a challenge. Finally, positive to end the report out at 7:26. Let's see. I want to talk a bit about conferences that happened last week at the high school and just about a month ago at the middle school. And so our target for spring conferences was 70% across sites. We had just north of that at the middle school with 71% of our families taking part in conferences with their teachers. I guess this was in late March, I want to say. And then at the high school this past week, this number is a little low. I think we're at 80% ish right now. Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, 81% right now at the high school. And that
82.
number will probably increase as we have some additional conferences happening, particularly with kids where there's been some concern and we just have to meet with their parents to talk about strategies for correction, intervention, support, etc. So overall, both targets met fairly strong in terms of family participation at our school this spring, which I think bodes well for kids, for staff and families working together, and that benefiting kids, and kids taking part in a majority of these conferences means perhaps more focus as they are informed about where they are and what they can do to even do better. And so those are the updates I want to bring to this board tonight, based on what we're seeing in the data. If folks have other questions about other tables here, happy to field them, talk about them, debate, etc. Any other questions before we end this portion of the meeting?
Okay, so we have Brian and Cliff.
Let's see. Let me just make sure. I will unshare. They will come on in about 2 minutes, I believe. So I think this will be
Okay,
a session, right?
yeah, so why don't we turn the recording off? Maybe I can give people a little background here